Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited because today I'm going to be showing you how I do makeup on other people. I have my mom here with me today and she is a very glam person. She loves glam, so I thought let's go all out. So I'm going to be showing you products, techniques that I do. So first things first, I always make sure my hands are clean. Oh, and also don't mind my mom. She's crying because she's listening to like a sad story on Instagram or something like that. But hey, this happens in real life during weddings. People are super emotional, so this is very normal. But these little eye masks are perfect. They make your clients feel luxurious. They help to depuff and just hydrate. Also, hydrate their lips because their lips might be a little crusty and you just want to make sure everything is nice and plump. Also, if they have a little stray hair here or there, just make sure they kind of look groomed. Sometimes when you're in a rush, you don't have time for this, so this is why as a client you should always be ready when you go to your makeup artist. And by ready, I mean when your eyebrows are nicely trimmed and groomed, when your face is dermaplaned. If you do that, I recommend that just because it applies makeup so much more smoothly, makes our job a little bit easier. Also, I'm cleaning my mom's face with a little bit of Bioderma. It's a micellar water that I get off of Amazon. Again, all of my stuff is going to be in my Amazon storefront for y'all to check out. But for eyebrows, I love using powders, so I'm using the Anastasia Brow Powder Book. I do carry dip brows in my kit, but I only use them when a client has tattooed brows or if they have no hair on their brows. It just makes my job a little bit easier to paint the little hairs onto their face. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, back to the eyebrows. So her eyebrows are a little bit more sparse in the front, so I try to make them more squared and fluffy. So that's what I'm doing right there. And as you saw, I always try to switch. If I'm working on one side of the face, I try to stay on that side because your back will hurt if you're working across her other side of the face. So just make sure you're always taking precautions of your body because your body will ache if you do not switch sides. Now I'm priming the eyes with a Too Faced sculpting concealer. I'm mixing two shades to make a good, not too bright but not her skin tone shade, kind of in between, and making sure it's close to the brow hair as possible. Sometimes I do get it up in the hair, but that doesn't stop me. I kind of go back in with brow powder and then back with concealer. It's a whole thing, guys. It does take a little bit of time, especially if you're gonna make her brows look perfect. A good tip that I have is when you have an older client, you're gonna have to lift her skin on her eyes. The lids are a little bit more flimsier, so you have to make sure you're getting into every crevice in the skin, so when she looks up you don't see her bare skin in the concealer. So try to get into every little crack. So here I am perfecting the eyebrows a little bit, taking out that concealer that may have gotten in the hair. And I also wanted to show you this part. It happens sometimes where sometimes the inside of the eye is a little too bright. So I go in with a little bit more of a skin toned concealer that's closest to her skin, just to make sure it's not too bright. Then I go in with a powder to set that concealer to make sure that it doesn't crease. Depending on how oily the client is how much powder I put on their eyelid. And then for her crease color, I really try to mix two shades to make it neutral because I didn't know if I was going to go more warmer or cooler tones, so I just mixed two shades that created this really pretty neutral crease color. And I also had to take off her eye patches because she got annoyed. So here I am buffing it into the outer portion, but more dragging it up towards her eyebrow, not really putting it all in her crease. You see what I'm saying? I'm blending it in the outside and then going up at an angle. And here I forgot that I had to stand on her right side because my back was hurting, so then I switched quickly. And also, if you have a client who has a little bit of a smaller eye or their eyes are hanging because the skin, try to lift it up and this will help you blend everything. I try to keep my hand off their face as much as I can, so maybe a finger or two, but not my whole hand on their face. That's why I also keep a puffer on my pinky because I hate the feeling of someone else's finger on my face. I do not like that, so that's why I started wearing the puff. I'm adding dimension to my mom's eyes with a smaller eyeshadow brush that has like a charcoal color, and then with the fluffier brush I used before, I'm just blending it out towards the outside because I don't want to drag that charcoal color towards the end. It would make it look too dark and heavy. So make sure your eyeshadow brushes are always clean before you start an eye look, because I really feel like if you have clean brushes, your eyeshadow looks are always going to look professionally like done. And have a towel beside you. If you think you added too much eyeshadow color onto your brush, dust it off onto the towel and it will help to deposit some of that shade. I forgot to mention that on that fluffy brush I did add a bit of a cranberry shade to help me blend the gray, so it has more like dimension and it's not just charcoal, and it has like a bit of pink in there if you can see slightly.
Wow, finally you're done your makeup.
Look at my eyes, you see it?
This step that I'm doing, I do not like calling it a cut crease because it just reminds me of the unblended trend from 2016. I just do this so that the eyeshadow looks a lot more brighter and it pops more.
This is the pillow. Look at.
I'm also going to drag the concealer towards the inner portion of the eye just because I'm going to do a inner corner liner, so I'm trying to make it as clean as I can. Also, when you're doing this step, you really want to take your time. I'm also having my client look forward so I can see if when she looks straight, the concealer hits at the crease. But if I were to do this on a hooded lid, I would drag the concealer above their crease to create a larger lid space. So initially I was trying to blend her concealer with the eyeshadow with the purple, but it wasn't blending smoothly, so I went in with the powder that's like her skin tone and just tried to set everything before, and then it helped me to blend everything out and just was more seamless. But yeah, nothing really fun here. I'm just going between these two brushes to make sure I'm packing the color, and then with a fluffier brush I'm just blending that out, making it look more blown out. Now anytime I'm applying a glitter shadow onto my client's lids, I always use my finger just because I get the best color payoff, guys. It really is like the best tip I can give you if you have issues with glitters just falling onto your client's lids, especially those types that are like the Ethereal Eyes palette kind of glitters, or like the Urban Decay single shadows, yeah, like those type of toppers. So now I wanted to add like a darker shimmer towards the middle outer portion of the eye, and I found this beautiful palette by Danessa Meyer. It's called the Transcendence palette, and it's all glitter shades that have like duochrome, and they're just so beautiful. I'm using the shade Trippy in it, and after I do that, I'm gonna reapply a little bit more of that lighter shade from the Pat McGrath palette and just tapping it to kind of blend those two together. And look at her showing it off, looks so cute. I can totally tell she's feeling herself, but as she should. Anyway, so now I'm grabbing the My Dream palette from Natasha Denona. I'm going to use that black shadow to sketch out her wing liner. I also give you this tip because when I'm too scared to commit to Inglot's liner, I always kind of sketch it out with shadow first, because if I mess up, I could always kind of blend it out or erase it with some micellar water. But with the Inglot gel liner, it's a little bit more of a hassle. So I'm sketching that out first, having her look up, make sure her eyes are open so you can tell where the liner should hit or where it should go. And now I'm going to commit to the wing liner. I'm actually going to use a super small liner that's actually for art. I found it on Amazon. I'm going to leave my Amazon storefront. You can find it in my kit essentials, but this is like amazing because it's so small. I can really get into those tiny crevices. And as you see, I'm telling my mom to look different directions because she got really like anxious from the sensation of the small brush. So having your client look the opposite way of where you're working, it's going to help them distract themselves, and try to remove your hands from her eyes for a second if you notice that your client's eyes are watering. This is a very hard process, so this is very time consuming. I definitely don't do this on everyone. I do it when I have time, or if my client wants a more detailed work and I'm not having to rush. Then quickly adding it to her waterline. Just be very gentle, pull away if you have to. And there you go, she kind of looks a little messy, so we gotta clean her up. I love using micellar water onto my Neutrogena wipes. And this, ladies, is why I start with eyes first, so I can be as messy as I want to with the eyes and then just clean it up and her face isn't disturbed. Also, these pointy Q-tips, I love them so much. They are just so sharp and they clean up so precisely, so definitely recommend them. So here my mom's like, is this it? Like, is this all the drama I'm getting? And I'm like, okay, let's pull out the tiny microscopic Q-tips I have, and I'm gonna try to do like a cutout. So a bunch of the Mexican makeup artists that I follow always do little details like this where they clean out a little part of the eyeshadow look and put rhinestones. They do graphic liners. So I'm doing my own take on it. I never do shadows like this, especially on clients. I always kind of do those crazier looks on me. I was a little scared, not gonna lie, and this is my mom. My mom's very picky and very hard to please. So here I'm trying to do like a crazy liner end to the liner, again with my tiny little liner brush. This is definitely not something that you get every day. I always try to practice, but it's hard because clients don't ever ask for this. So practicing on my mom is kind of good because it's not on myself. My camera didn't record this part, but I added 3 little rhinestones to that empty space, so I'm sorry about that. But now I'm going to put mascara on, just applying it to the tip of the applicator, because at the end of the day, you're just going to try to cover it a little bit. So don't dip your whole wand in there, it saves you product. Also put your thumb behind their eyelashes, so if any mascara gets on there, it gets on your nail. Now your eyelashes always have like a little bit of residue from the packaging, so make sure you take that off, and also measure the eyelashes to your clients. I always do that beforehand. I use a little fan to make sure that I'm not like spinning anything on it. If I blow with my mouth, don't do that. Always use a fan. And now I have her looking down with her eyes open, because if your client's eyes are closed completely, you can glue their eyes shut, guys. I've done this before when I first started doing makeup on people, and that's very embarrassing. So make sure their eyes are open and looking down. If your client's lashes are not mended well with the fake ones, please try to squish them together, because this is so noticeable and it will actually make or break your makeup look. So please do that. Also, this step is optional depending on my client. If they have super sensitive eyes, I will not do this, but it just makes the lash line look a little thicker. And I'm also sanitizing the pencil right away and making sure there's no germs on it. Alright, now for the complexion, my trusty Laneige cream toner. Love this. I use this on everyone, no matter what skin type they have. But since my mom is more of a mature skin, we have to put as much hydration, especially because she hates it when I put powder on her. Low key, I tell her I won't, but I always do. No matter how dry you are, I always set your face. I just have to watch out for how much product of the powder I put on your face. I just make sure to put a very thick moisturizer like this Bobbi Brown Enriched Face Base, a good eye cream, and I also love to apply glowy products such as the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter, anything that will make your face glowy before all those like powders and foundations. I'm just bouncing all those products in with my sponge. I typically don't ever use my hands because I don't really know if my client likes hands on their face. Even if they're clean, I just prefer a brush, and I just pat it in with the brush and then go in with the little sponge. Here I am mixing those glowy products to make sure my mom's skin looks very, very hydrated. So since my mom hates foundations or powders on her skin, I have to go really light-handedly with my applications. I'm using NARS Light Reflecting and the Armani Luminous Silk. I can make this foundation look super full coverage or super light. Just depends on how much you put on, of course. So I'm applying very, very little of it. And for concealer, I'm gonna use the Too Faced Sculpting Concealer. And typically I always ask my clients, like, are you used to full coverage? Like, let me know how you like your skin, because if it were up to me, I love when their skin shows, and just applying coverage underneath the eyes is my favorite look. But people have their gustos, they have their preferences, if I have to translate for y'all. But yeah, basically I just kind of give the coverage underneath the eyes, nothing else. For cream bronzer, I love my Danessa Myricks cream bronzer, but it's in this packaging because they have another one that's like a circle. This one's the square. I love the formula of this. It gives me like the Mario skin enhancer where it's super like balmy. It's not super pigmented. I just don't like the undertones, to be honest with you. They're a little warm, but I feel like I can still work with them with like powders on top. But yeah, I love this so much. It's so easy to blend out. So this is how I deposit powder into a little bowl, just because it's the most sanitariest, how do you say that? The most cleanliest way to put powder in a bowl, because if you put it in the container that it comes in, it's just nasty and it looks gross, and it also is just transferring germs. But anyway, the powder puff, I love it. It just packs the powder, but again, I'm not using a lot of powder because she's dry, she hates it, and she has mature skin. We're trying to keep the glow. So just a little bit so she doesn't look oily and gross, but it helps to set the face. And with zero product on that brush, I'm dusting whatever I put on her face, just spreading it around to set everything. This is the method that I recommend if you need your makeup to stay longer. So do a cream version of something and then the powder version of it. So cream bronzer, now I'm setting it with the powder version of the bronzer. And this is Juvia's Place's powder duo in the light shade. It has a cool tone and a warmer tone. I'm mixing the both of them, and I'm really lazy for the nose contour, not gonna lie. I'm just gonna put some color on the nose very slightly. And then I'm gonna add MAC's Gimme Sun. I love this. It gives like a warmth to the face that I really love, so I just put it lightly everywhere. Yay, okay, my favorite blush palette. This is the Cool Tone Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm mixing a bunch of tones together, applying it to the upper part of her cheekbones to really help lift her cheeks, and just dabbing it, not dragging. And again, on the other side. Using the bronzer brush, I'm just going back in to help blend everything together, just if in case everything doesn't look blended, I just do that extra step. I always tend to use my Dior highlighting quad, but I never used this on camera yet, so this is Cookie by Benefit, and just adding that to my mom's highest points on her face. Again, I'm making sure everything is nicely blended together, because that's my worst fear, is if my client looks at themselves and is like, oh my gosh, this looks too harsh. And now I'm going to set my mom's face with the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray and fanning it out. I love this step because it really helps melt everything together. That's why I do it, not just for the longevity, but just to make everything look like skin. So this step really just depends, because sometimes if the client looks a little too shiny, in my opinion, I'll just go add a little bit more of the face powder just to make it look a little bit more soft and matte. And I make them look up because I notice that their eyes may crease, and so then I go in with the eyeshadows, make sure everything is nicely blended. I always drag the eyeshadow down, it just makes the eye look more complete. Usually I just do the crease color all over underneath, and then to make it more smoky, I'll tap in the darkest shade towards the end. And for the lower lashes, I do cover them with a little bit of mascara to complete it. And I found these tiny little, like, I think these are for your braces, like to get things out of them. But they're so tiny and perfect, and the brush really fits those little lashes. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm still trying to find the perfect brow gel for my clients, but this is the one I'm using right now. It's by Makeup by Mario. I just kind of fluff them up. Sometimes I ask them if they're okay with them being super fluffy, but since this is my mom, I just kind of did them how I like them. But I think she liked them because, I mean, look at that. She looked pretty good. Now for the lips, I'm using the lip liner by Morphe and Sweet Tea, just making it nice and plump looking. And I wanted something neutral. I always do neutral lips on my clients just because that's like my go-to. I also wanted to show you this Bare Minerals lip gloss. It's like a moisturizing lip gloss, and it's called Serenity, and it's so pretty. It also smells good, and it's just very nice because it's moisturizing. But here's the final look, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed, and please let me know if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!